Welcome everyone to Jake and the Bean Talks. For this program, we take video submissions from around the world and some from my own travels to hear stories from coffee-producing countries and the people that live them. For our first episode, we will be seeing a day in the life in the Democratic Republic of the Congo with Linda Mugaruka, who is the Chief Quality Officer and Agronomist for Mighty Peace Coffee and the first female certified Q grader in the country. Last year, F&B Therapy, my consulting company, and Mighty Peace Coffee hosted a live online cupping with several Congolese coffees. We had a tremendous turnout with cuppers from Denmark, France, England, California, Mexico, and New York. We all agreed these coffees were extremely high quality and an absolute pleasure to taste. Without further delay, here is our submission from Mighty Peace Coffee exploring the Congo. Stay to the end as I'll be sharing some more info on the Congo and interviewing Jim Ngokwey of Mighty Peace Coffee. Thanks for joining us.
Daniel, c'est que tu m'appelles tout jour. Comment moi il est le 10 avril, d'accord, on a un café, il y a une désaccord pour Bolloré, peu importe le moyen. Attends de me préciser la quantité disponible avant le 15 avril.
Kama ni hapa le 100 sacs à Fouloshi.
100 sacs à Fouloshi.
100 sacs.
Ok, ça va, merci.
Merci.
Je suis Linda Mugaruka, je suis ingénieure agronome, je suis épouse, je suis maman et je suis dégustatrice de café de spécialité. Ce qui me pousse en fait à être motivée dans le secteur, en fait, c'est que j'aime d'abord mon pays. J'aimerais participer soit dans l'amélioration de conditions de vie de producteurs. J'aimerais participer à l'augmentation soit de l'économie, en partageant ce que je peux auprès de petits producteurs pour l'amélioration de leur production en termes de qualité et de quantité. Il y a plusieurs facteurs qui font à ce que le café congolais soit meilleur, surtout à l'est de la RDC. Nous avons 9 mois de saison de pluie et 3 mois de saison sec. Du coup, ça facilite la croissance des cultures dans nos champs. Le sol, il est argileux. Jusque-là, nos cafés croissent dans de bonnes conditions sans qu'on y apporte beaucoup d'efforts. À Minova, je suis venue donner une formation sur les pratiques agricoles dans les coopératives en fait, auprès de producteurs ou des agronomes, qu'ils apprennent à mieux traiter leur culture dans les champs pour booster la qualité et booster aussi la quantité de la production. En fait, c'est un sacrifice aussi parce que pas plus longtemps qu'hier, on m'a appelé, on m'a dit que mon enfant était malade, il avait de la fièvre en fait. J'ai pas bien passé la nuit parce que je me disais, waouh, qu'est-ce qui se passe? J'aimerais tout le temps être avec ma famille, assurer ceci ou cela, mais j'étais ici en fait. Aller souvent sur terrain, c'est sacrifier d'une manière ou d'une autre sa vie parce qu'on s'attend à tout en fait. C'est l'amour que j'ai envers mes amis producteurs ou l'amour que j'ai envers la culture du café qui me pousse en fait à me battre toujours pour mes rêves et la vision que j'ai en fait. Et j'aime ce que je fais. Actuellement, les femmes doivent voler de leurs propres ailes. Elles doivent apprendre à s'auto-prendre en charge d'abord. Elles doivent apprendre à s'accepter elles-mêmes. Ça me fait plaisir en fait d'être parmi les premières à avoir fait des grands pas dans la dégustation. Dans les 5 prochaines années, je serai peut-être une première dame en train de certifier les cafés congolais. Là, j'aurai ma signature, mon sceau au niveau de la RDC et pourquoi au niveau mondial. Là.
Linda is an amazing and inspirational person both in the Congo and the US. The DRC is located in central sub-Saharan Africa and is by area the second largest country in Africa. It shares borders with 9 other countries including Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania, and the Atlantic Ocean. The DRC has the perfect natural ingredients for growing great coffee. Clay volcanic soil, high elevations, and an extensive rain season. These factors also make it perfect for growing cacao used for chocolate. It's no secret that this country has suffered tremendous turmoil over the last 150 years, mostly a result of European colonization. It was deemed in 2016 by the Wall Street Journal as the most dangerous coffee in the world. The title is a bit sensationalist, but not completely inaccurate. Mighty Peace Coffee is trying to overcome this shadow from their history through trade and positivity. Let's hear from Jim Ngokwey. So just so the audience knows, I'm sitting here with Jim Ngokwey, managing partner at Mighty Peace Coffee. Jim is also a personal friend of mine, and we've been talking coffee for years now. And thank you very much for joining me on the video.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm flattered.
Before we get into the coffee stuff, maybe you could just tell me a little bit about yourself and where you are from and how you got where you are today.
Yeah, I'm a Congolese immigrant. I came to America when I was 17. I'm 35 now, so I've been here for a little longer than half my life. And, there was a big gap between when I first came to America and, as a junior in high school, when I went back for the first time after a long time in 2017. And multiple reasons why there was that big gap, whether it was about to go to college and, no extra money as a college student for international travel. Then graduating college at the height of the financial crisis in 2008, couldn't find a job. And then when I graduated, then I went to grad school after that, between work, there was always a reason why it wasn't a good time to go. But I always stayed connected. I always dreamed of finding a way to kind of be that bridge between Congo and America. I really believe business can be a conduit between, nations and especially Congo and America. In the past, relationship has been very one-sided, where, to be honest, America takes from Congo. There's not really been an exchange. And the idea is to, as a Congolese American now, to be able to be that bridge whereby people on each side of the Atlantic can actually benefit from that relationship. And I believe coffee is a great vehicle because we have great coffee in Congo and America and drink a lot of coffee. And in terms of how I got here, we found the Mighty Peace Coffee in 2018. And it's me and a few other partners, 4 of us total. And really what was driving me is, again, that desire to work in a business that makes that difference. I think when it comes to Congo and Africa in general, people often think charity and nonprofits, and some nonprofits do really good work. I don't want to make a blanket statement about nonprofits and charities, but a lot of times we get that image, we've seen those ads, give $1 a month and help a poor African. And as an African myself, I've never been a fan of those messages. I think a lot of times they're demeaning and, they don't really give agency. But through a business, as long as you're a good business operator, you can make sure that people on each side benefit from that relationship and nobody's getting exploited because you're running a good business.
For me, part of like my mission and what I'm trying to do with Coffee Network and everything else is getting people to understand that they need to pay more for their coffee, and that the fluctuating prices of the C market is not sustainable. It's not healthy for the coffee business. What is Mighty Peace's approach to pricing?
So the C market has an influence, but it's indirect in that, for example, I think a year and a half ago, coffee was like $1 a pound. We've never paid $1 a pound for coffee. I think it's preposterous to pay that much for coffee, right? That little, for coffee. And but the reason why I say it indirectly impacts is because as it increases, then local competition also is affected if people feel like they can earn more because more people are getting to coffee and things of that sort. So that's an indirect impact, but we never price based on the C market itself because we don't believe the stock market in New York should reflect the value of what coffee producers in Congo or really anywhere, the value of their work. And the way it works is that, we have a good relationship with coffee cooperatives because we have a team in Congo, Linda and Fidel, who work directly with farmers and cooperative leadership. We're able to understand cost of production, which they share. We go through a spreadsheet, look at the cost of production, look at cost of gas, look at, living expenses, living wage, and then look also at the profit margin they need to make. Because I think a lot of times we think of, let's make sure they at least break even, but nobody wants to break even. I don't want to break even. You don't want to break even. The big importers don't want to break even. Coffee roaster X don't want to break even. So why should farmers break even? So profit margin for the farmers and cooperative are really part of the calculus we do, because for this sustainability, they have to be able to make money year in and year out. So once they share their costs, so we understand the minimum they need to make a profit margin they're comfortable with. And then they also say, we also have this clinic we're helping fund. If you also pay this much, we're able to fund that clinic faster. And also, cholera is still an issue. So if we're able to, also add to, clean water access, it'll cost this much more. So that's the way it works. It's a conversation, negotiation with the cooperatives, leadership, and the producers they represent to figure out, a price point per container that really makes sense for them.
Amazing. No, so it's interesting because it's more than a company, then it becomes something where you're also providing vital services for the community as well. So it's kind of a bigger mission, because it does seem to me like this could be a great sort of form that other countries could do, because producing countries around the world are facing a lot of the same obstacles. I mean, they're unique to their own countries, but they're also having the same problem when it comes to pricing and having a sustainable life, living. So I think that's great. So what is the peace mission?
Our directive and real vision is that coffee, like an equitable coffee industry, can be a catalyst for peace. Because I mentioned, despite the politics, the economic incentives, with neighbors coming in, like they're able to do that because of extreme poverty. So our theory, which has been proven again by whether it's the UN, other agencies, that, if you're able to create, people have stable jobs, they have stable income, like it becomes much harder to, give people money and guns and say, hey, let's do this, because they have other ways to earn a decent living. So that's the idea. So basically create and support the economic sector in a way that it creates enough jobs that armed groups have less oxygen to really breathe and operate, because, the community has ways to earn good money. So that's really the commitment on that end, economically speaking. And beyond the economics and buying a lot of coffee at fair prices, it's also having community liaison, whereby we work directly with the community. We have team members in Congo that work with people in those regions, kind of understand, beyond coffee income, what else do you need? This clinic, or you need to be able to, whether it's a clinic, is it a, microfinance fund? What else is needed, because we know coffee is not the end all be all. If I told you, buy this coffee and solve peace in Congo, I'd be lying. But it's part of the puzzle. And beyond that part of the puzzle, it's also understanding that Did you hear that?
I already excused it. There's construction happening in New York City. We can't control.
Okay.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, so beyond the economics of it, it's also partnership with social movements and social organizations that are working already in those post-conflict zones, whether it's through education, basically supporting schools, healthcare, health services. Again, those very basic things that we can take for granted in a developed country, but in those parts, in Congo in general, particularly in the rural areas, it's those are tools and factors that can really make a major difference. So it's really about, beyond the economics, what else can we do to help the community? And because we believe the more we have the holistic approach of, whether it's economic access, but also healthcare resources, clean water, and things of that sort, the more the ecosystem will be strong enough that we'll be able to ensure, short-term and long-term peace in that region in Congo.
It's amazing because everything you say rings true. And like you said, I'm sure it's been proven before, but it's like when you take the desperation out of the equation, then things become more stable and life seems to have more opportunity and hope to it. So I think, that approach seems really impactful. And I guess, that's part of what the UN saw in what you're doing as well. So the United Nations explain to me that relationship and kind of how that works.
Absolutely. So the UNDP, the United Nations Development Program, they're basically the agency that is tasked to helping, countries in which they operate become developed nations. And it's a big organization, bureaucracy is a challenge they face, and they'll admit themselves. And when they heard about Mighty Peace Coffee, like they invited us to their office to really explain our mission and our work and our impact. And they really said that, we are the ideal model for how a private sector company can make an impact. Because again, we're a small team and our impact is direct. Whereas them, they may have bigger budgets, but because the bureaucracy and their systems, there's only so much they can do. So basically they champion us as an example of what the private sector can do to make real change in Congo. And a lot of our activation was delayed because of COVID. But we're all planning a trip to Congo later this year, and the UN will be part of it because again they really believe in our mission and the idea is how do we align our impact through business as well as their resources through social work to really make support the local ecosystem and make a real tangible change.
And going back to when you first started the company, how much coffee were you able to actually buy and sell the first year of Mighty Peace?
I mean, at first, again, we're you know, it's literally five of us, right, at the beginning. So it was, I remember the first container was 50 bags. And
Okay.
the 20-foot container is 220 bags. So we literally, you know, we basically wasted money. And again, we didn't have the money to buy more coffees. It's not really wasted money, but in hindsight, we probably should have found a way to, you know, not have such a big container, only carry 50 bags. But it was 50 bags. That's all we could afford. So all we could afford, because we're you know, self-funded, you know, friends, family, and anybody believes in our mission. And yeah, so that's all we could afford in the beginning. But you know, those 50 bags, once we got them here, we were able to send samples. They sold out relatively quickly. So it gave us that confidence, like, hey, you know what, the coffee's good. And even though we don't know much about coffee ourselves, besides Linda, it's resonating with people. So you know what, let's bring in more.
So 50 bags in 2018, and in 2021, how many bags of coffee did you sell?
So 50 bags ordered in 2018, but they arrived in 2019. So even though we started in 2018, we actually sold our first bag of coffee in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So we're, you know, in terms of actual selling coffee, we're 3 years old. But yeah, it was 2019, those first 50 bags. Then by the end of the year, I brought a full container, 320 bags. And then the year after that was 2 containers. And then last year it was 8. So we're growing a lot. Yeah. And we're growing a lot. We're looking at 17 containers this year. I think what's been working is just connecting with coffee roasters and coffee companies that you know, like the coffee and believe in the mission and want to make sure they're part of the solution. And we believe importers like us are part of the solution for a more sustainable coffee industry long term. Because again, I think if it goes in the current route, you know, people will either stop growing coffee, or there'll be very few coffee companies that are profitable, and you know, that's not good for anybody. So I think that's really, I think that common belief in sustainability through a fair competition on each side is really what's been helping us.
So from 1/4 of a container of coffee, and then 3 years later to 8 full containers. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible growth.
And teamwork is key. You know, even though I'm the one talking now, it's definitely not just me. You know, there's Linda and her team in Congo, Fidel most recently, you know, JD Liza here, Kristen Blair. So we're, you know, we've been growing in both sides, and I want to make sure it's not just me. I can't take all the credit, definitely not.
No, of course, but just incredible for a company to grow so quickly. I mean, that's really impressive. Well, Jim, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing at least part of your story. I know that it keeps going deeper and deeper, but you know, there'll be just more stuff for us to talk about in the future.
I look forward to it. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you so much for stopping by. We really do appreciate the time that you spend with us. Please leave us some comments. We'd love to hear from you, what you're interested in, what you're thinking, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Please subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.